Bring in more revenue while saving money and differentiate yourself from the rest of the pack vying to win those guests by becoming more environmentally friendly. We will show you how easy it is and how cheap it can be, if not free, and share all the opportunities available. So join us each week as we take another step along the green path. That's one more step to differentiate yourself from the rest of the pack.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Green Path podcast. I started this podcast nearly 2 years ago now to help the one lone voice in the industry spread the word about sustainability. And sure enough, that voice and the message has only grown stronger and stronger, backed by industry studies that show the growing number of guests looking to stay at sustainable properties and, in fact, that are willing to pay more for it. If you're not on the bandwagon yet and you would like some help to get started, well, today's episode will help you start that journey. Today, I'm chatting with the original lone voice who will share with us an event not to be missed. Today's guest is Bob Garner from EnviroRental. Hello, Bob. How are you?
Hi, I'm great, Deborah. Thanks for those kind words. It's great to be back with you today.
Yes, it is lovely to have you back. Thank you very much for joining me. Now, Bob, I think you have an announcement to make. What is this event that everyone should attend?
Yeah, well, we're super excited. There's a group of us who've got together under the leadership of Damien and Gianpaolo from Scale Rentals, and we're launching Scale Green. And the idea is it's the world's first conference around sustainability and short-term rentals. It's the only thing it's going to be is sustainability within short-term rentals. And we're super excited that this event is taking place on the 23rd of April in London, only for property managers, where we can really help some brilliant people move along their journey, start or progress on their sustainability journey, and help them into the future. So it's really, really exciting. And there's a group of us working really hard to make this a success.
And it's only a half-day conference. So, people don't have to invest the whole day. Just take the half day off and come along to learn about sustainability. And the timing is good too, right?
Yeah. Part of the idea around sustainability is to link events together so that people can travel and then take the experience of several events. So it's on the same day as the Short Seas Awards, which is in the evening of the 23rd in London. And it's the day before the Short Stays Summit. So a lot of people are going to be in town for those two events. So it makes a lot of sense to tie in with those, and people can really grab 3 events in one and only have to travel the once, which is great to reduce people's travel carbon footprint.
It's like a Chrome extension. Come to this one too before you go to the shorties, before you go to the Short Stay Show.
Brilliant.
Perfect.
Yeah, totally. That's a great way of expressing it.
Yeah. So, yes, explain the timing of it. So it's a half-day conference, and so what are the timings and what's planned for the day?
Yeah, so it's a half-day conference starting at midday on the 23rd of April, and it's at a venue called the Lumiere in London N1, and it's going to be running till 5 o'clock. And the idea with the conference is that we're taking some property managers through the important topics that they need to be thinking about in planning how they're going to build sustainability into their business. And importantly, and this is really important, is that we're doing some work with them before the event, and we'll be doing some work with them during the event, and we'll be doing work to support them after the event. Because what we found in my experience of talking about this for a number of years now, people are usually, in principle, in their head, they're with this topic, but actually implementing it and seeing it through is a whole new challenge. So what we're trying to do with this event is help them during the event to develop their climate action plan, to put in place the ideas, the bare bones, at least, of what they want to do, And then as Environmental, we'll be supporting them post-event to actually implement that, to make sure it happens, to embed it into their processes. Because we appreciate for many people, it's a real challenge and they need more support. So this is a trial to see if this new way of approaching it and supporting people will be a better mechanism for making progress in sustainability.
It sounds like a great way to weave sustainability into your business rather than when you go to a conference, you're like, oh yeah, you take this little nugget and you go off. You might do something with it, you might not. You get busy, caught up with your work. But this sounds like you're going to interweave it into the business, into someone's business prior to the conference, at the conference to reinforce it probably, and to support you beyond the conference. Fantastic.
Yeah, there'll be some facilitated discussion during the day of the conference to really help people. We'll be giving them the pro forma of what they can do and how they can do it. But then we really want to embed that into their thinking, embed that into the culture of their organization. Because one of the things I think that's really important, people sometimes think of sustainability as a little add-on. At the end of the Friday afternoon, I'll just spend half an hour on sustainability. And that really doesn't work for most people. What we've got to try and do is get people to think of sustainability as a core part of their business, going right through their business, that touches every part of their business, and they're doing something every day around sustainability in a small and managed way. You know, clearly people have got to still operate their business and be successful, but building sustainability in my experience from 20 years of doing it with my holiday rentals in Italy, is the best way of making sure it can be successful for you as a business, for the guest, and for the planet.
And we've seen from some of the resources available out there now that sustainability is not scary. To be sustainable, it's not scary and it's not hard. And you're going to show them how easy it is, and you are going to help them incorporate in their business. Nothing to be scared of, people.
Yeah, and I think something to say there. Obviously, we've been running Environmental for a year now. Environmental is the home of free resources around sustainability. And the idea people can go to environmental.earth and find everything they could possibly want around sustainability, whether it's the resources, the roadmap, the news, the data, the analysis, whatever it might be, they will find it in Environmental. But what we are doing with Scale Rental and Scale Green, it's to take that one step further and take those resources, take that information, and help people along their journey in a much more managed way. And it's super exciting because this is the first time it's happened in our industry, and we've got a great team of people who have been putting this together. It certainly is not just about me. There are some great people like Vanessa, Mark, Nikki, Gianpaolo, and Damien, and we've been working really hard to put this together so that it can be impactful and successful. And hopefully it's the first of many of these conferences.
And you've made it affordable too, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, this is not a money-making exercise. We're doing it on a not-for-profit basis. We've kept the ticket price at just £40, and there's an optional £10 donation to a charity. So keeping it really low level, so there are as few barriers to entry as possible. And we want people to come along and get involved and start or progress on their journey. So we're not here to make money. We're here to try and make an impact and get people to be more successful in building their business around sustainability.
Fantastic. And what sort of things are on the agenda? What will the people learn? The attendees.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. We're going to be exploring a number of characteristics of sustainability in short-term rentals. We're going to be talking about how to empower the guest and the information that you need to the guest, what information the host needs as a property manager, how you can manage that information and galvanize the enthusiasm of your hosts and involve them. We're going to be talking about advocacy and what we can do in the local community, because sustainability is not just about what you do as a business. It goes wider than that. Certification is another important topic on the agenda, and Mark and Vanessa are going to be talking a lot about that, because what we need to be seeing much more of and EU legislation is coming in which will control this as well,
Mm.
is that there needs to be a badging system that has authority, credibility, accountability, and is audited. So when people are saying things like, I'm running an eco lodge or I'm doing something that's sustainable, they can substantiate that through an independent audit, and those badging and that accreditation is really important.
Mm.
We're
Just
also going to be
interrupt you just for a second, though, because that just reminded me that in the UK, there is, if it hasn't happened yet, there's going to be a time where you will have to, if you rent property, you are going to have a minimum rating, green rating or sustainability rating of your property. Otherwise, you won't be able to rent it. So this is a really, really good reason why people should come along, because one day that will come into play. It'll be a legal requirement, and they are going to have greener properties.
Absolutely. And that ties in really nicely with one of the other topics that's on the agenda that Ufi Ibrahim is coming to talk about. And that is all about that changing landscape, that regulation landscape, that these metrics that the banks, the investors, the regulators are going to be starting to impose and require from short-term rental property managers. So if you're going to go for funding in the future, there are going to be questions asked about, well, what is your eco rating? What is your approach to sustainability? Are you a B Corp? What are your intentions around sustainability? Can you justify those things that you're saying around what you're doing around sustainability? So this is a really important topic, and these external influences are going to increasingly require property managers to be able to justify their position. And I think that's going to be great, because that's only going to raise the bar, which is what we want to see happening, because we don't want people saying I'm doing X, Y, and Z when they're not really doing it. So having some external influence on that, whether it comes from an investor or a bank or a regulator, is going to be a good thing, but it's also going to be a challenge. So we're going to be certainly talking about that.
Yeah.
And then one of the other things that we're going to do, and there's a lot on the list, there's going to be a slot where we're going to be asking 10 companies to pitch for 3 minutes each their product or their service, because we're seeing this a lot now. Is individuals and companies are saying to us, well, that's great, but who should I be going with? Where are the products? What is the range of products? Is that company selling that product or service in my region or in my country? And so we're going to be allowing some of these companies to start to pitch their products and talk about what they do and the advantages that they will bring to the property manager. So that's going to be a great quick fire, 3 minutes each for 10 companies, which is going to be really interesting. And Vanessa's going to be moderating that exercise.
That'll be great. Really good. And not only are you teaching the property managers about sustainability and helping them along, you're practicing what you preach. What are you doing as a conference that is sustainable?
Oh yeah, quite a lot. It's a really important topic. When I launched Green VR events a couple of years ago, the idea was to try and influence and encourage events, conferences in our industry to be more sustainable, which was two things: A, to run their business more sustainably, and B, to put sustainability on the agenda, because it's at conferences where people come assuming they're going to hear the big topics of the day. So that's why sustainability should be on the agenda. And there's been a number of great conferences who've taken that on board, and that's been brilliant to see. What we're doing with Scale Green is taking that one stage further and really demonstrating and highlighting what you can achieve in running a conference to be sustainable in itself. And that starts with the venue. We're using the Lumiere in London, which has a really high standard in terms of the way they operate their business, the energy, the recycling. The whole emphasis around what they do is all around making that event venue be as sustainable as possible. We're obviously going to push that further in terms of what we do on the event itself, using reusable lanyards, no plastic, no single-use plastic, water in jugs, of course, rather than in plastic bottles. A plant-based lunch rather than a meat-based lunch, which has a much lower carbon footprint. And just a number of different things that will make the event much more sustainable, not having too much swag, because you get all this stuff given out to you at these conferences and most of it gets chucked away. everything has a carbon footprint. So what we're interested in is bringing down our carbon footprint as far as possible. And then, of course, the whole subject of the event is all around sustainability. Every element of it will be about talking about sustainability and building that into people's businesses. So we're trying to demonstrate the best way that an event can be sustainable and encourage other events and conferences in our industry to follow suit. So we're looking forward to that.
Fantastic. Now, I just wanted to touch on something that I heard this week. It was a video by Jay William, and he had discovered sustainability on a journey, on a trip in Florida. And he made a comment about, he had sustainability, he'd thought about it, it was in his head. But when he met this particular gentleman, the thought of sustainability moved from his head to his heart. And now he's passionate about sustainability. How do you think we can get property managers to move it from their head? We've got to do it. Yeah. There's the stats are saying get to their heart. How do we move it there? How do you think?
It's a super important topic and a really difficult question. And, in my experience from talking about sustainability over these last few years, having spoken to hundreds of people in our industry about this topic, almost everybody, 99.9% of people in their head are in agreement with what we're trying to do and what needs to happen around sustainability. They're not stupid people. They're clever, intelligent, articulate, creative people. They know what's going on in the world. They understand that there's a climate emergency, and it's in the news every single week with some development around the climate emergency. And it is actually very depressing. So it's understandable that some people switch off to that. But you're right, it's very difficult because moving people from it's in my head and I agree with it in principle to it's in my heart and I'm going to take action is a really fundamental challenge for our industry. I notice it, when I post something on LinkedIn and I post a depressing statistic about the latest information that's come out from Copernia, the European climate monitoring system, that said that 2023 was the hottest year ever, and that we breached 1.5 degrees Celsius for the whole year. Really depressing, really horrible. But I know as I'm posting it on LinkedIn that it's going to get very little engagement because people don't necessarily engage at that level with negative and difficult news. I think what we've got to do is change the narrative and make it relevant to those people, make it relevant to their day-to-day lives, to their families, to their business, and that they can see the advantages. What we've tried to do with environmental, and we'll certainly be doing it at Scale Green, is talking about business advantages. We're not going to be talking about all the negative stuff. We're going to be talking about the positive stuff as well. And that's really important because people are much more switched on to, how can it be positive my business? How can I get more direct bookings? How can I get more reviews and better reviews? How can I save money? How can I get ahead of the competition, etc., etc., etc.? That's what people want to do. And if we can connect with them at that level and they can see some benefits, then that's fantastic. I always say it really doesn't matter at the end of the day how you come to this topic, whether you come to it because you believe there's a climate emergency and you need to take action, or you come to it to because you want to be a more successful business. The end result is the same. Yeah. We deal with it and we deal with the climate emergency that way. So absolutely, we're going to be talking about benefits and what's in it for you and making it as personal to those individuals as we possibly can within the context of a conference.
In my recent experience, I was just in Australia and a friend of mine is a vegetable wholesaler. And I was chatting to him about the cost of living, the cost of everything in Sydney. It's just like it's skyrocketed. Everything is skyrocketed. And I asked him, what's going on with the cost of vegetables? What are you finding? And he straight away said, it's the weather. If it's either flooding or it's drought or it's just very difficult to grow vegetables. And I was thinking, oh my God, that's the reality. That is the reality of what we're dealing with. And maybe if someone actually hears that for themselves, it's part of their life. And also, just like in Australia, we have bushfires and we've had property managers lose their businesses and have to rebuild because of bushfires, because of climate change. So maybe it's also, that kind of extreme too, when you have to face it, that's when that's when it moves into the heart. And that's when, okay, we have to deal with this. But
Yeah, absolutely.
positives and negatives, but as long as as long as it moves from the head to the heart, that's the most important thing. Oh, look, I think if you can just wrap up again, where and when and how much, and we'll leave it there.
Yeah, super. So it's the Scale Green Conference, and if you go to green.scaleRentals.show, you'll find all the information there. It's on the 23rd of April in London at the Lumiere, starting at midday. Tickets are just £40. And if you're in town, then please come along, book your ticket and come along, because it's really going to be the biggest thing that we can do to help individual property managers this year, face-to-face, directly supporting them and helping them on their journey. So it's going to be great to see a full house there, and I'm so looking forward to it. And I want to thank also our sponsors, Avantio, Sykes Cottages and Smiley, who have really helped us with this programme, and also to acknowledge my co-supporters and organisers, Damien, Gianpaolo, Mark, Vanessa and Nikki. We're a great team, and we're really looking forward to a fantastic day.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much, Bob. I will put all the link below for the tickets and to learn anything more about the conference. Thank you very much, Bob, and I will see you in London in April.
Absolutely. Thanks. Good
Thanks,
to talk to you.
Bob.
Cheers.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Are you ready to start on your own Green Path journey? Why not take a look at the Green Step program? This has been tailor-made to take you step by step down the green path. You only see one step at a time, and that's all you focus on. Before you know it, you've gone down the path. To learn more, just head to thegreenpathpodcast.com.